This is the fine jewelry presentation for the Fashion Industry Interchange Accessories Unit project. This is Sofia Ramirez. I'm going to talk about the key styles of today for fine jewelry. In recent years, gold chains have risen in popularity due to famous rappers. The gold is first blended with alloys like nickel, which makes white gold, or copper, which is used to make yellow gold. And then once that is blended, the gold is made into wire and then cut and shaped into chain links. Some chains are encrusted with gemstones like diamonds, or they feature unique pendants. The Cartier Love bracelet is part of the Love collection, which is one of the most iconic collections that Cartier has ever made. It was created in 1969 and was originally meant to symbolize chastity or commitment to one's partner because you needed a screwdriver to take it off. The simple bangle is often worn stacked, as seen on celebrities like Kylie Jenner, and due to its popularity amongst influencers, this style has been trending once again in recent years, and it can be made in various metals and can be encrusted with diamonds. Monogram jewelry adds distinct individuality to any outfit. Monograms have been seen in a multitude of places throughout the past, but in more recent years, millennials have really brought the style back. High-end jewelry designers, like the ones you see here, make custom pieces, but a lot of monogram jewelry is being mass-produced now, and it can be easily found in costume jewelry. The tennis bracelet, they are thin bracelets with dozens of diamonds or other gemstones all around, and the term tennis bracelet was actually coined by a professional tennis player, Chris Evert, whose diamond bracelet fell off her wrist during a very intense match. The three main types of diamond settings for these bracelets are prong, which is 3 or 4 prongs per diamond to hold the stone in place, which allows the most light to shine through. The channel setting, which is 2 thin rows of metals that hold the stones on either side, or the bezel setting, which is metal surrounding each of the stones completely. Engagement rings are usually custom made and require many steps to manufacture. First, a custom mold is made, and then the precious metal of choice is poured in, and when the ring is finished and the diamonds are set, it gets polished and the ring is complete. Because they are custom made, each ring is unique and perfectly special for every bride-to-be. Luxury hoop earrings are really just a twist on a fashion classic. The metal of choice is first melted, and it's either made into wire, or it's poured into a cast, or made into a tube shape and bent into the desired size and shape. Luxury designers like to elevate this classic style by making hoops in different shapes or adding embellishments, as seen here with the diamonds. Another classic are pearls. The natural shapes of pearls add a unique statement piece to any outfit. As you can see here, pearls are now being worn by men and women alike, and they're actually harvested from oysters and come in various colors like pink, white, black, and yellow, but the classic white is the most versatile and easiest to style. Pardon my French pronunciation, but the Cartier Juste un Clou bracelet. These bracelets have been a recent trend, but they have been around for quite a while. The style was introduced in 1971. They're usually made in rose, white, and yellow gold, and some are encrusted with diamonds. The original collection rose in popularity once again in 2017 due to celebrities like the Kardashians and Jenners wearing them. And because of that rise in popularity again, they're now offered in more designs, such as ones with thicker bands or a winding wrap design. Drop earrings are another classic style, and they're very versatile. Fine jewelry designers everywhere have done their own renditions of these earrings, as well as other non-luxury designers. It's just a classic style. They consist of a hook, clasp, or stud with some sort of dangling element that can be made from precious stones or precious metals. The pendant necklace is another staple. They feature a chain with a specially cut or arranged gemstone or metal pendant. Different styles can be made with dainty chains, chunky chains, different size pendants. And due to its simplicity, the style is easily adaptable and can be designed in various ways. Now I'm going to go over some key styles in the past few decades. So in the 1920s, the Art Deco style was very big. In the 1920s, it was a time of economic prosperity for the United States, and so the social scene mirrored that with extravagant parties and a booming nightlife. So Art Deco jewelry was designed for women to give the impression of luxury and extravagance. It featured many gemstones in various cuts and a lot of geometric designs, which mirrored the style of the time and really gave off that feeling of luxury and extravagance. In the 1940s, the United States faced the Great Depression, and although the economy was very poor and people struggled to make ends meet, diamonds were heavily marketed during this time and became very sought after. The phrase diamonds last forever actually emerged during this period, and so did the tradition of a diamond engagement ring. In the 1950s, costume jewelry rose to popularity, and although that was less expensive and alternatives became readily available, fine jewelers still took part in the trends of this time. Matching sets were very big. They consisted of matching earrings, necklaces, and bracelets, and they were especially popular in pearls. And brooches also rose in popularity and are made beautifully with various gemstones. In the 90s, thin hoops became the style to wear. They were popular amongst youth of color in urban areas, but the style trickled up into mainstream media, especially with hip hop artists. Large thin hoops were the most popular style for women, while men usually stuck with huggies or small hoops. And fine jewelers adopted this style and made it with gemstones, as seen on Jennifer Lopez in this photograph. So in the 2000s, that's when people started to go more towards old glamour again. After the 1960s, costume jewelry just became the norm, and people didn't wear or value precious stones as much. And so in the early 2000s, celebrities began wearing diamonds and many different styles on red carpets. And that old Hollywood glamour of the 50s was reemerging, and people began to wear precious gems once again.
Okay, so I had gemstone cuts. Number one is the brilliant cut. Brilliant cuts consist of triangular and kite-shaped facets that spread outward from the center of the gem. It's cut this way to take best advantage of the optical properties of the stone and produce a finished gem with the maximum brilliancy, most popular style for diamonds. And here you can see some of the terminology used with the gems. The crown is the top, girdle, the line separating the top from the bottom, which is the pavilion, and the table is the tippy top flat face of the gem. Number two is the step cut, usually colored gemstones in which the stone produced is rather flat with steps or rows of four-sided facets. These are popular because they show off the stone's color and clarity and produce a subtle gleam. Emerald, tourmaline, topaz, and amethyst are often cut in this fashion. Mixed cut. Mixed cuts combine step cut and brilliant cut styles. They have brilliant facets on the crown and step facets on the pavilion, or vice versa. This can cause the light shine into the gemstone to break up into some interesting patterns. Rose cut. These gemstones have a flat bottom with a dome-shaped crown reaching an apex formed by three facets or more, and they're used mainly with colored gems, and they are not as bright as a modern brilliant cut, and they're considered more of a vintage cut. Here they are in some earrings that I guess look pretty vintage, you know. Um, the Berrien cut, it's seen more of as a family of cuts rather than a set cut. It shares aspects of brilliant and step cuts and is considered one of the first mixed cuts. It's pretty much a round brilliant pavilion placed into a fancy shaped gem. It usually has a step cut crown as well. The thing that separates the Berrien from other mixed cuts is the quarter moon facets located directly beneath its girdle, as you can see right here. And this cut also creates a cross type pattern at the center of the stone. Also, right there. The cabochon cut. These are gems polished into domes that date back to ancient times and have been popular since. Stones may be cut into cabs because they're lower quality or too opaque for faceting. This would emphasize their color and luster rather than brilliance, usually in circular or oval shapes. And the back of a normal cabochon cut stone is flat, but it may be hollowed to lighten the color. Number 7 is the Portuguese cut. Portuguese cut gems feature faceting where the gem is cut with 2 rows of rhomboidal and 3 rows of triangular facets below and above the girdle. Because of these several tiers of facets, the brilliance of this cut is enhanced and it creates a wonderful display of light. Have a smaller table due to how many facets and sorry and they have a smaller table due to how many facets are on the crown. As you can see, the table on them is pretty small in comparison due to how many facets they do have. The cushion cut. The cushion cut is essentially a square with rounded corners and sides like the cushions of a couch. It has large facets, so despite being a brilliant cut, it won't be as bright or brilliant as its counterparts. This gives it a more vintage look, but flaws are seen much more visibly. I feel like this is a pretty popular cut as well, along with the princess cut, which comes up here next after this one. Number 9 is the trilliant cut. Trilliant cut gemstones are triangular shaped stones that are usually faceted based on the brilliant cut. Trilliants work very well with light colored gems, such as diamond, aquamarine, beryl, and white sapphire because they can get so bright. The tips and culettes of trilliants are pointed and thin, making them vulnerable to breakage, so softer gems are almost never used. And 10 is the princess cut. The cut has a square or rectangular shape when viewed from above, and from the side it is similar to that of an inverted pyramid with 4 beveled sides. It has a series of V-shaped facets on the pavilion with a simple step-cut crown. Due to the angles involved, this design won't cut with much brilliance in most colored gemstones.
Hello everyone, my name is Marisol and I'll be going through the third part of this presentation and I'll be discussing the various factors that drive the fashion direction of fine jewelry. So after reading through some articles and doing research, I've concluded that some of the factors that drive the direction of the fine jewelry industry include the economic environment and personal income. Lifestyle also plays a huge role in the fine jewelry industry, and the current status of women is another factor that drives the fashion direction of the fine jewelry industry. All right, so speaking about the economic environment and personal income, we know that jewelry has always been used as a way to symbolize one's wealth and one's status, whether that was indicating how wealthy someone was or indicating someone's relationship status. If they had an engagement ring, that's always meant that they're engaged or married. And while today all class levels do have access to fine jewelry, we see that lower and middle class levels are more likely to purchase fine jewelry for rare or special occasions, such as like an engagement, wedding, or a graduation. So we see that for lower and middle class levels, the purchase of fine jewelry is more of a luxury spend, whereas for higher socioeconomic classes, the purchase of fine jewelry is more of on a regular basis. They buy fine jewelry as a way to accessorize and as a way to celebrate like milestones as well. So yeah, we see that for higher socioeconomic classes, the purchase of fine jewelry is more common. And going back to the economic environment and talking about how that impacts the fine jewelry industry today, it's really important that we talk about COVID-19. So, obviously, we know that COVID-19 has had a drastic impact on our economy on both a national level and global level. And we've seen that a lot of people have lost their jobs, a lot of people are unemployed, people have been evicted from their apartment, and we see that this economic crisis has impacted the working class the most. However, we see that this economic crisis has not really impacted, the wealthy or the ones that are from higher socioeconomic classes. And this CNN business article that I found actually found that rich people were buying more fine jewelry during this pandemic. Um, and that sales have increased for fine jewelry. And they saw that in August 2020, sales went up nearly 10%, contributing nearly $5.25 billion to the economy in just 1 month. So all of these sales were literally just for the month of August. And Signet Jewelers, who is also the owner of K Jewelers, which you might be familiar with them. They also stated that their sales for August also rocketed up to 10.9% compared to August of 2019. So they actually had more sales this year than they did last year. And mind you, like we're going through an economic crisis and we've seen an increase in the purchase of fine jewelry. So yeah, we've seen that this pandemic has hit class levels very differently, and we see that for higher class levels, it's actually caused them to spend more on fine jewelry and luxury items. So we see that lifestyle is also a major factor that drives the direction of this industry. And in that CNN business article that I had mentioned in the previous slide, they also argued that the travel industry is the number one competition of the fine jewelry industry. And as we know with COVID, there are many travel bans and travel restrictions. So people are no longer able to spend their money on traveling. So those that were typically jet setters or constantly on the go, always traveling, they're using that money that they used to spend on traveling and using it on fine jewelry instead. So yeah, we see that the current lifestyle of our society today, which is I would describe the lifestyle obviously as staying at home and minimal traveling. This is playing a huge role in our fine jewelry industry today. And we also see that couples are actually spending more money on engagement rings than before pre-COVID times, especially because with this lifestyle of having to stay at home, couples are not able to have destination engagements or weddings, or they're postponing their weddings for another year or so. So they're actually investing more money on engagement rings than they usually would have done before pre-COVID times. So, the status of woman is also a major factor that drives the fashion direction of the fine jewelry industry. So, we see that the status of woman has quickly progressed and evolved in our society, and this is also reflected in the role of fine jewelry in our society today, and specifically the role of fine jewelry in a woman's life. We know that fine jewelry has typically been reserved for special occasions such as weddings or engagements or anniversaries. And there's also always been the societal expectation that a woman has to be gifted fine jewelry by a man. But as we know today, women have become more independent. Women are not settling into marriages. Women are focusing more on their finances, are focusing more on their careers. So we're no longer waiting for a significant partner to give us jewelry. A lot of women, they are now gifting themselves those fine jewelries, those diamond rings, diamond necklaces, and so forth. And we see a lot of this financial independence and women empowerment being reflected in our pop culture, in our music. And I use this lyric example from a song by Destiny's Child, where the song is basically talking about how they don't need a man to spoil them or to buy them these certain things, that they're able to spend their own money to buy themselves diamonds and to buy their own rings. So yeah, we see that women are more independent in our society, and this is reflected in their shopping habits. And we also see that women will buy themselves jewelry when they reach a huge milestone in their life, such as a promotion in their career or graduating from college or getting their master's. Whatever that milestone may be for a woman, we see that they are celebrating themselves and rewarding themselves by gifting themselves jewelry. And this brand, Katkin, which is a fine jewelry brand, they say that 80% of their jewelry sales actually come from women buying for themselves. And another huge difference that we've seen in the jewelry industry today is the difference in spending between men and women. So when men typically buy fine jewelry like for their partner, they're more concerned on getting their money's worth on jewelry. They want, the best deal, whatever is more affordable. And we see that women are more focused on the emotional connection that a piece of jewelry evokes, whether that is making the woman feel beautiful in that piece of jewelry, making them feel more empowered, or they're buying it because they've reached a huge milestone in their life and they want to celebrate. We see that women, when they spend on fine jewelry, they are more focused on the emotional connection that they have with that piece of jewelry. So yeah, that concludes the end of the presentation. And just to reflect back on what I talked about for my portion of the presentation, we went over the three factors that drive the fashion direction of the fine jewelry industry, which include the economic environment / personal income, lifestyle, and the status of women as well.